Mary Beard is pretty well known in the UK. She's a kind of a famous historian over there. She's on TV, I think, quite a lot. And I've listened to a few episodes of her podcast, and she absolutely comes across as a very regular person. But I only discovered Mary Beard last summer when I picked up her book, SPQR. I don't think that the fact that I studied Latin in school had anything to do with it, my picking the book up. Probably more important was the fact that I had just watched Gladiator again. Now, whatever the reason for my interest, I really liked SPQR. So this year, when she released her new book, Emperor of Rome, I made it a point to pick it up. Now, she doesn't present in this book what I'd call a traditional chronological history. Instead, she focuses on what I'll call thematic aspects of being emperor. Things like imperial dining, his actual job description, the way he put on shows and spectacles, and the places where he lived. I think she gives a new kind of perspective to emperors that you already may be a little familiar with. You'll learn a lot about how the empire worked, how the emperor worked, and all the stuff that went on behind the scenes. Now, to be frank, after a while I felt a little like I was reading an encyclopedia from front to back. But the thing is, she keeps everything so interesting, you keep on reading. For example, she starts out with a story about an emperor I never heard of, a guy by the name of Elagabalus. He ruled over Rome for a few years in the 3rd century AD. He was kind of a nut. He liked putting whoopee cushions under his dinner guests. Not so much because of the farting noise, so much as it meant the fact that they would sink lower and lower over the course of the evening. Other fun gambits included releasing so many rose petals from the ceiling that diners were literally smothered to death. Now, he'd also let drunk guests sleep off their hangovers in a room into which he released tamed wild animals. When they woke up, it was to find a lion peering at them, whereupon some of them immediately died from terror. I read that story and said, I'm going to love this book. Now, like SPQR, her writing is very, I guess the word is accessible, engaging even. I think for people who may even be unfamiliar with Roman history. She has what I'd call a kind of relaxed approach to ancient history. So just like Tom Holland, she mixes in humor and lots of current day comparisons. Her tone throughout the whole book is very much conversational. And that almost brings these emperors into focus, although to me there's still a kind of a puzzle. She does the exact opposite of dry as dust history. Put it all together, and this book is a pleasure to read. And I say that even though in the sense of chronology, which I sort of look for, she kind of jumps all over the place. In other words, she avoids simply for providing dry facts and dates about the emperors. Instead, she uses a lot of real examples to illustrate the kinds of things that emperors had to deal with on a daily basis. Now, in a short review, I can't do the book justice in terms of outlining all these things, but she does keep it certainly totally interesting. The other thing that she does, and does it very well, I think, is to point out how much we really don't know and can't know about these emperors. For example, she points out the fact that some emperors felt a need to write the history of the guy who came before them. In some cases, what they wanted to do is to erase them from history, or to paint them in a way that makes them look like absolute super bad guys. Some other guys, some other emperors, want to take and make their predecessors look like superheroes, saints. Well, in their terminology, gods. And she points out that when you try to figure out things from archaeology, you don't really get very far. I guess because of the passage of time and so on. Well, anyway, my bottom line on this book is it's a keeper. At least if you have any interest in ancient history. If you don't, certainly give it a pass. But I'll tell you what, Mary Beard is worth reading. So this week's recommendation, Mary Beard, Emperor of Rome, and I'll see you next week.